Watch 10 minutes of the 1998 World Cup final. Then watch 10 minutes of Spain lifting the trophy in New Jersey this summer. Same pitch. 11 versus 11. Same ball. It doesn't look like the same sport. In 2026, Spain conceded exactly one goal across the entire tournament. Rodri completed 747 of his 799 passes on the way to the golden ball, the most any player has ever completed at a World Cup. Nobody in 1998 was doing that. Nobody could. So what actually changed? Before we continue, subscribe and hit the bell if you enjoy premium football stories like this. Back to the question. Everyone already has an answer ready. Tiki-Taka, Gegenpressing, Guardiola, Klopp. Say tactical revolution to any football fan and those four words come straight back. None of them is the real answer. All four sit downstream of something else, something that's been running this sport quietly since before any of these managers were born. By the end of this, I want you watching a match differently, not looking at who has the ball, looking at what both teams are fighting over underneath it. Start in the 1870s, football barely resembles a sport at this point. 10 men run at the goal, one stays back, more out of habit than plan. Matches routinely finish something like 8-6. Nobody defends anything. Then Scotland does something nobody else is doing. Instead of dribbling until he gets tackled, every player starts passing to a teammate. That starts in the 1872 International against England. It continues for years after. It looks strange. It also wins. Scotland dominates England through the 1870s and 80s doing one simple thing. Move the ball to a teammate instead of running at a defender alone. That's the first tactical revolution. Not a formation, not a genius. Stop running into traffic. Find space. Move the ball there instead. For 40 years, almost nobody improves on it. Then in 1925, one rule change breaks everything. The offside law drops from 3 defenders needed to 2. Overnight, defenses that worked for 4 decades collapse. Games start finishing 6-5, 7-4. Nobody knows how to defend anymore. Herbert Chapman at Arsenal works it out first. He drops his center half back into defense. He pulls 2 forwards into midfield. The result looks like a W going forward and an M defending. Arsenal wins the league in 1931 and 1933. Within a few years, everyone copies it. Notice the pattern forming. The rule changed. The old shape broke. Someone found the gap. A new shape took over. Fast forward to November 1953. England have never lost at Wembley to a team from outside the British Isles. 50 years unbeaten at home against anyone who isn't British or Irish. Hungary walk in and win 6-3. Here's the part usually skipped. Hungary doesn't only beat England, Hungary baffles them. Every English defender has a job inside the WM. Mark this position, cover that zone. Hungary's center forward drops deep into midfield. Somewhere a center forward doesn't belong. England's system has no rule for it. Puskas wrong-foots England's own captain Billy Wright, badly enough to become iconic. One commentator watching live said he looked like a fire engine going to the wrong fire lead. That's not a footnote. That's a professional footballer at Wembley in front of 100,000 people. In real time, he discovers that everything he trained for has no answer for what's happening in front of him. Hungary proved fixed positions don't hold. Next, what happens once every team knows it? Brazil takes the lesson further. Pure attacking freedom, like Hungary's, wins big. It also leaves you exposed. Hungary lost the 1954 World Cup final after leading West Germany 2-0. In 1958, Brazil brings 4 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 4 attackers. The shape carries both discipline and flair. 17-year-old Pelé scores 6 goals at that tournament. One of them, in the final, still looks choreographed decades later. Italy answers a different question. If you can't out-attack the best teams in the world, stop them from scoring at all. Helenio Herrera's Inter Milan builds a defense around a spare man, the libero. He sits behind everyone and reads danger before it happens. Inter wins back-to-back European Cups in 1964 and 1965. Critics call it boring. Herrera doesn't care. It works. By the 1970s, defenders lock onto one specific attacker each, man for man. Rinus Michels at Ajax spots the obvious flaw. If a defender only knows how to follow one man, what happens when every attacker keeps moving somewhere new? Michels builds total football on exactly that question. For a few years, nobody in the world can mark Johan Cruyff because he's never in the same place twice. Jump to 2008. Pep Guardiola takes over Barcelona with almost no experience at the top level. Most of the sport is chasing the ball the second it's lost. Guardiola's answer is almost stubborn. What if you never give the ball back at all? Under Guardiola, Xavi completes over 90% of his passes at Euro 2008. Spain holds possession in the 65 to 75% range. That's true across 2 European championships and a World Cup from 2008 to 2012. Tiki-Taka becomes the most feared style in the sport. If you're enjoying this breakdown, tap subscribe now. It helps the channel keep making these. What happens next breaks Tiki-Taka's own rules. Jurgen Klopp answers a different question again. He can't buy Barcelona's players. Instead of keeping the ball, he tries to win it back the instant he loses it. No playmaker in the world can be as good as a good counter-pressing situation, he said. He wasn't exaggerating for effect. At Dortmund, his pressing side wins back-to-back Bundesliga titles. At Liverpool, it ends 30 years without a league trophy. Klopp never pretended to be some football genius. He once summed up his own playing career as having the talent for the 5th division and the mind for the Bundesliga. The tactics didn't come from natural talent. They came from watching closely for what wasn't working. That's the history. Here's where it shows up in the game you're watching this weekend. This isn't only happening on the pitch anymore. Some clubs now employ analysts who study an opponent's corner routines. Their whole job is designing blocking runs, the way an NFL team designs a play. Clubs pick goalkeepers like Ederson and Alisson partly for passing range, not only for reflex. Fullbacks drift into central midfield mid-match because the space worth controlling has moved there too. All of that looks like progress, but progress isn't free. Here's where I get uneasy. Every one of these systems is smarter than the last. Everyone produces more organized, more efficient football. But more efficient and more joyful aren't the same thing. Football hasn't asked lately whether they still line up. Here's what ties every one of these moments together, from Scotland in the 1870s to Rodri in 2026. It was never about who has the ball. Possession is one way of controlling space. Pressing is a way of taking that space back the moment you lose it. The WM, total football, Tiki-Taka, Gegenpressing, none of these are different ideas. They're the same fight over and over. Who controls the space on the pitch and how do you get it? That fight's still going. In 2026, Spain won the World Cup playing total control, conceding 1 goal in the whole tournament. At the same time, England under Thomas Tuchel are doing something that looks almost opposite. He said flatly he doesn't want his team playing possession for its own sake. Across the Premier League, the number of fast breaks ending in a shot has gone up nearly 5 times since 2016. 2 of the most credible footballing minds alive today disagree. One says control means holding the ball. The other says it means giving it away on purpose. If you're waiting for me to tell you which idea won, I can't. Nobody's decided it yet. Nobody's finished the argument Scotland started in 1872. Chapman didn't invent the WM out of nowhere. An offside law forced his hand. Hungary didn't beat England with better players. They beat them with a question England's system had no answer for. Guardiola and Klopp weren't opposites. They were 2 different answers to the same problem. How do you control the space when you don't have it? If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe and don't miss the next one. I already went deep on how Spain turned that same control into a World Cup and why Spain became the best team in the world again. Watch that one next.